So, in my opinion, no one should go to school for the arts. Or, at least, in rephrasing that or clarifying that, not nearly as many people should be in school for the arts as there is now. And here's why. You need some base group of people to gain all of that information that you would learn in a university from people who have resources and access to information written by other media moguls from decades, or I don't know if this is a thing, even centuries ago. So you need that foundation group who can learn everything and adjust it as need be. But for millions of people to go to school for arts just doesn't make sense, in my opinion, because while you're sitting there in a room, you're in there learning when you could be out there doing. And that's the part that gets me. So, I think a better alternative would to be find what you want to do early on if you can. You don't have to, but it's best to. Find what you want to do and then go ahead and 100% absolutely completely dive into that thing. Dive into that industry and get to know the people and the techniques behind doing what you love. You could do that for free while creating your career instead of attending a school where you sit in a classroom and learn from books when you could be out in the world learning from people and doing those things as you're learning them. I think that's a much better foundational system of education in comparison to the traditional system of sitting in a classroom. And even if you do really like learning about your art, especially if it's theater, there are plenty of techniques and tips that you can find online for free. It, what I don't get is why a lot of people don't have faith in services like Google or Wikipedia. Yes, anybody can edit it, but anybody could write a fucking book, you know? Excuse my language, but it just irks me when people close themselves off to such a valuable resource like that, because it's a conglomeration of knowledge from a person from every corner of the industry just combined into one page to serve you, and you can access that for free, and you can start discussions on forums or on Twitter or Instagram and or IMDb, for example, and you can ask around for what you need to know and how you can learn it. And the best part is, a lot of people will tell you the most essential parts of being in the theater industry for free. A lot of people undervalue the kind of information that you can find on their internet, and this especially applies to theater. You can Google workshops that people have recorded and sit in for free as if you were actually there and see the techniques that these actors use. You can read their journals or blogs or whatever they keep these days, whatever you want to call them, posts, Instagram feeds, Twitter feeds. You can just watch without doing it the way people are telling you to do it just because that's the way people tell you to do it. That's frustrating. It's basically, you can Google a lot of stuff. People underestimate how much stuff you can learn by simply dedicating maybe a few hours to research for a specific term, or a few hours researching what you should research. The point is, it's quick, it's free, and it's available, so why not use it? Also, when you go out there and do, instead of sitting in and learn, you're at a higher probability to make money. And who doesn't love money? So, instead of spending money to learn, you can make money while learning for your art. It's crazy, and a lot of people don't realize that. Why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Unless it's like dance, maybe? Dance is the only instance that I can see someone needing to go to school for an art. Or maybe culinary, if you count culinary as an art. But stuff like, well, music too. Yeah. Not necessarily, because in this day and age, you can Google a lot of things and gain a lot of information and find inspiration from musicians and artists that you want to emulate instead of sitting in a classroom and learning about music. But then again, you do need to learn music theory to be a good musician, apparently. I don't agree with that statement, but that's the general consensus. Just like how I don't agree with going to college. So, what I'm talking about right now is theater when I say the arts, basically. And maybe I'm being spoiled. Maybe I'm being a spoiled little bitch because I've been going to school for theater for about 6 or 7 years now, and maybe I have learned some things that I wouldn't have learned if I didn't go to a school for theater. However, going to a middle school and a high school for theater is different than going to a university from theater, in both a good way and a bad way. But going to a middle school and high school for theater means that you're not paying for it. Tuition is high. Tuition is really, really high. And a lot of people don't take that into enough consideration, in my opinion. Which ties back into finding out what you want to do early on. I knew that I was interested in theater for as long as I can remember, even though it's changed in volume of interest for me. I have always been interested in theater. But going to school, and when I say school, I mean university, yeah, you can learn all those great things from people who are mature and who are. When you go to university for theater, you have peers who are at a much higher likelihood of having experience in the industry in comparison to people who are in middle school and high school. When you're in university, these are adults that you're learning with. But the issue is that you're only learning. You're not. I'm a broken record right now. I was gonna make another point. Oh yeah. Okay. So, here's another viewpoint that I hold. Opinions that I hold. When it comes to the arts, or since I'm only like in one art officially, since I'm only in theater, when it when it comes to arts and when it comes to theater, I feel like you either have it or you don't have it. If you have it, then you shouldn't go to university for it because you're so good, because you have potential to be greater than just sitting in a classroom for 4 years learning about theater. And if you don't have it, then you shouldn't go to university for theater because it sucks to say, but you don't have it. There's not much room to grow past where you are now. It's not impossible to get to a higher skill level of theatrics, but it's not gonna be the most efficient route or career path if you don't have it in the first place for theater. So I just feel like maybe it does vary by person to person, but in my personal opinion, very few people should go to school for the arts. Very few people should go to university for something like theater. But hey, that's just my mind.